Die Hard a review from 1990. I did say I was going to do 5 hard. That means 5 days of all the 5 Die Hard movies in the Die Hard franchise. Uh, so a little bit late than never this Tuesday. I had to do some stuff with packaging and deal with these storm. The storms are still coming in tonight in Houston, Texas. So I've been distracted by other things. But I did not want to forget Die Hard 2, Die Harder. And I'm not playing any footage because that's a copyright. And so goes like a copyright strike on my channel and all that. So we'll get to Die Hard 2, Die Harder. Yeah. Came out in 1990. Based off a novel called 58 Minutes by a guy called Walter Wager. The novel came out in 1987, and Die Hard itself was based off Roderick Thorpe's 1979 novel, Nothing Lasts Forever, in his detective series. So, anyways, the Die Hard franchise gets inspiration from thriller, action adventure novels involving terrorist and criminal organizations, but not a spy thriller like Jason Bourne or James Bond. So nothing to do that works with the government, even though there might be FBI and CIA and people like that, and there may be feds in the Die Hard movies, but these aren't spy thrillers or intelligence thrillers, really. They're action adventure thrillers. So, yeah. So Die Hard 2 had a choice. It's directed by Rennie Harlin, based off the novel 58 Minutes from Walter Wager. Die Hard 2, Die Harder had a choice in 1990. I don't know. There was a lot of, in the 1990s, a lot of movies that came out. They wanted to tell you, hey, it's the 90s. And this, in particular, Die Hard 2, Die Harder, there's a line in it that's like, hey, it's the 90s. And for some reason, yeah, was there a lot of movies in the 2000s that were like, hey, it's the 2000s? Or, hey, it's the 21st century? Not really too many that I remember, you know. So in the 2010s were people like, oh man, 2010s. Yeah, hey, it's the 2010s. Like no one really gave a shit that it was the 2010s. And then 2020s, it's just another fucking decade, right? It's not like, I don't know, I guess the idea was that in the 1980s, everything was going well and things were getting better and better for American citizens and in Western civilization, and maybe the world perhaps too. And so maybe it was sort of like, well, the 1980s were good, but you have seen nothing yet. You know, the 1990s, this is going to be the evolution of American optimism and prosperity. So we're taking this to the next level, you know. So that's why there you might be puzzled because there's not a whole lot of movies that are like, yeah, it's the 2000s. Hey, it's the 21st century, or hey, it's the 2010s, or like, wow, it's the 2020s with like, we got to get with the times. It's the 2020s. Like, you know, a lot of people they don't in the 21st century seem to proclaim it with such optimism and hope as they did, and kind of like hubris, you would call it, like arrogance almost, with pride. Yeah, like as they say, the 1990s. You know, it's the 90s, and so you'll see a lot of that in the cinema in the 1990s. So in the blockbuster Hollywood films and the shows of the time. Hey, we're in the 90s now. We're in the 1990s. And so, and they do it here, which I was kind of, I expected that of 1990s movies to be so proud of themselves that they're in the 90s. But it is kind of amusing to see those little things in the script. So it was written by was it Joel Silver and Gordon and Silver Productions, and directed by the infamous Rennie Harlin, action director, who fell in love, of course, with Gina Davis, and they did that horrendous, what was it, 1995 movie called Cutthroat Island, which was like this major fucking, you know, it was that basically. It was like that fart that I just did. It was a big. Well, it was maybe it was more than a fart. It could have been a shit, or it could have been diarrhea. I don't know. I didn't check. So, but it was a really expensive movie to make pirates movies, a lot of times, and that one just totally bombed. And yeah, I think that's when pleasure got in the way of making a good film. You know, if you have the director was in love with the star and Gina Davis, and then they don't really focus a lot on making a great movie. They just focus more on like their own personal romance rather than making a great film, unfortunately. So, Cutthroat Island, yeah, that's a movie I think I've maybe tried to watch, or maybe I've just heard it so bad that I haven't even watched it. So I've just seen like Nostalgia Critic or somebody, some kind of like online YouTube reviewer review it and make fun of it, and I just laugh at that instead of actually watching it myself because it looks absolutely motherfucking dreadful. But Rennie Harlin, I know, is a great action director. So, but I guess sometimes the director's only as good as his or her script. And so the Die Hard 2, 1988's Die Hard is such a big success, and it forges Bruce Willis into a major action star in Hollywood. He's a A-lister deluxe after Die Hard, the success of Die Hard 1988, and graduating from the former moonlighting comedy Private Eye series with Sybil Shepherd. Yeah, it's called Moonlighting. And so, yeah, he transformed himself from a comic sitcom star into a bona fide action star with the likes of Sylvester Stallone and Arnold Schwarzenegger and so forth. With the big boys, with the A-listers, Mel Gibson. And so a funny thing happens in this movie. I've seen Die Hard 2 plenty of times, and it is the overlooked junior brother. It is like the middle brother or the little brother that everybody kind of looks over. It is the one that a lot of people just, yeah, they just, I guess that if I'm going to go through the Die Hard films, all five, the entire series. So Die Hard 1 is in a building, in a tall building. And then number 2 in an airport, airplanes. And then number 3, the city, and like cabs and cars and trains and or whatever, subways, right? So the outdoors. So basically, yeah, I guess I call like what I say is like Die Hard with a Vengeance. I guess it's New York City outside. It just takes place outside, running around outside and running from place to place, just running around. I guess boats and cars. It's just everything outside. And so you have the Die Hard 1 building. So that's the character. In the second one, airport, that's the character. Dulles Airport in Washington, D.C. And then number 3, the character is New York City, New York. And number 4, it's the internet. So Die Hard 4 deals with the internet and hackers and the 21st century, I suppose. And then I guess I call number 5 just Russia. That's all I call it. I call 2013's the final installment, probably most likely what most reviewers and critics will call the worst installment in the Die Hard series, which is Die Hard: A Good Day to Die Hard, 2013. 2013 is A Good Day to Die Hard. So I'll just call that one Russia. Yeah, which would sound like exciting Russia, but I think it sounds exciting at first. Russia, like maybe you tell a Russian person about Texas. Hey, Texas, and maybe they get over here and they're like, maybe they're amazed by a few things, but they're kind of like, yeah, Texas. Okay, well, I want to go back home now. Or maybe you go to Russia and then you'll fart. No, maybe you'll go to Russia and then you'll be like, oh yeah, Russia. So that's what that movie feels like. It's like A Good Day to Die Hard. You might say, yeah, that would be exciting. Like maybe you could make a great movie in Russia about Russia, but that was not it. Is there better? Have I ever seen a good movie about Russia with Russians in it, with a Russian plot? I don't know. It tends to get, the problem for me with movies in Russia is not that like it's Russian with the with the Russian language. Usually, typically, what happens is that it gets really cheesy and it gets cliche very very often. So yeah, so it gets goofy very very quickly a lot of times. So anyhow, back to Die Hard 2. Die Harder from 1990. So it's a new decade, and it's not the 1980s anymore when Die Hard 2 comes out. And so it, decides to switch the location. So John McClane must save his wife. It's pretty much the plot of 58 Minutes, except that he has more than 58. It's basically a fusion between a Die Hard story and the novel by Walter Wager, the 58 Minutes. So it's a pretty clever hybrid of the two concepts colliding together and making an interesting synthesis. So to have it, take place at Dulles Airport and in Washington D.C. That was keeping the franchise fresh. There's a debate when you do a sequel, should you bring back characters from the last movie, especially if the movie previously was a big box office hit. Like, should characters return? And first of all, sometimes in certain situations you can't expect that characters would return because it doesn't make any sense. So you have to make sure that those things make sense. So, all right. You want to go lay down? Okay. All right. Bye. Got the. All right. So characters that return in Die Hard that make sense are John McClane and his wife, Holly Gennaro, Holly McClane. Maybe his kids. They don't. His kids are with their parents in this movie, so that's the excuse why there's no John and Lucy in this movie. John and Lucy McClane. And they're showed very briefly in pictures and on TV in the first Die Hard movie, anyway. So. Oh yeah, Bonnie Bedelia returns as Holly Gennaro McClane, and she's, I guess, coming into DC at the Dulles Airport to meet up with John McClane, and I guess that's where their parents live in DC, and where they have the kids or something. So, the head of the airport of Dulles is Fred Thompson, his character. And the chief of police is Dennis Franz from the the television show, I believe it was Hill Street Blues. And so he's like your kind of Mario type. He's kind of overweight New York dude with a mustache and all that kind of cliche shit from back then. And so, but Dennis Franz always played a great cop. It was believable. And so there's a black guy who's like kind of nerdy, but he's not a bad guy in this one. And he helps out John McClane too with he's the lackey of Fred Thompson. I forgot his character name because his character really isn't all that memorable, really. And then Sergeant Powell makes a cameo in the movie to help out John to figure out what the bad guys are up to. A General William Sadler is the main bad guy of Die Hard 2, Die Harder. And the plot is kind of convoluted, a bit complex. It's basically a third world dictator who fights communism is coming he's being extradited to the United States for crimes. And anyways, he's going to be put in prison, but a general that sympathizes with him, Colonel Stewart, is plotting with people bad guys to break him out, and they're going to go fly away to freedom somewhere on an island, I guess. I don't. It's not like a heist movie where the bad guys plan to steal money. I don't think so. I think it was just to get that general guy, and they were going to fly to a special island and I don't know, be rich or be happy or be free or whatever. I don't know if they're flying back to his country and gonna live lives of luxury or whatever, but so the bad guys hijack Dulles Airport, and they run the airplanes on Christmas Eve out of fuel. And Colonel Stewart, played by William Sadler, threatens to kill, and he does kill. He does kill at least one plane and run it out of fuel, so that the authorities follow his orders. And anyways, John McClane must, like the hero of 58 Minutes, save the airport and save the people held hostage in the sky by the terrorist forces. And so New York cop John McClane, Bruce Willis's character, must save his wife in the air and then save all the people in the air as much as he can. So, and defeat Colonel Stewart and General Esperanza, and John Amos is a defective, like military defection, a guy who defects to Colonel Stewart's side to help get General Esperanza out of jail, to get him out of the U.S. the hands of the U.S. authorities. So you can tell that this plot in this Die Hard, it's based off the novel 58 Minutes, and it's not it's not as easy to explain as the kind of just simple plot, I would say, of even though it's based off a novel. I would say Die Hard has a pretty simple plot. You know, there's a building, and the heavily armed group of men, a terrorist or the heisters, want to they take hostages in the building, and then they want to steal the $600 million and then go away to the islands and live happily ever after and never go to jail. And and then John McClane must stop the bad guys from doing their crime and from harming the hostages and to save the lives and all that stuff. So the plot of Die Hard 1 is basically pretty simple. Die Hard 2, Die Hard 2, Die Harder, it's kind of like you have to pay attention a little bit to you really have to pay attention or if you miss a few minutes, you might miss, a character development. You might miss a little detail, and then William Atherton plays the bad guy, who's a pain in the ass of Holly and Bruce Willis, John McClane in the first movie, because he finds out about his kids and broadcasts his little kids, and that tips off Hans because he's watching TV to figure out that Holly Gennaro is Holly McClane, McClane's wife. So there's a lot of bad beef, and then at the end of Die Hard 1, either it's Bonnie Bedelia. Does she hit William Atherton in the face? I believe it was either him or John. It's it's either her or John that hits him at the end of Die Hard 1 in 1988. So there's for some reason to create conflict on the plane and maybe a little comedy. They have a backstory from the first film about there being a restraining order, and Holly and this reporter who's just he'll risk everybody's life just to get a story, so he can get a Pulitzer Prize or get a TV award or something like that. So, and they even have on the plane the stewardess kind of like William Atherton acts pompous, and he's also causes trouble, and he's a shitty character. And then so the stewardesses really dislike him, call him names, and then anyways, so he's just a crappy character put in there, I guess, for a little comic relief. He's a coward, and but he puts everybody's life in jeopardy trying to get the scoop. And anyways, so that they added that backstory to Die Hard 2. Was it necessary to have the same actor who always plays an asshole in every movie? Ghostbusters, Die Hard 2. And also, was he a good guy in Real Genius? I think he was. Was he an asshole in that? Kind of asshole-ish. He always plays like an asshole in the 1980s, 1990s movies. He's good at it. And then he played an asshole again in Ghostbusters. The was it Ghostbusters Afterlife? Or no, Ghostbusters Frozen Empire, right? The newer one. They got him back to play. Guess what? An asshole. He's good at it. I bet he's like, well, a few people could say they had a career in Hollywood, but I got typecast as an asshole. But I bet that'd be funny if he's like really nice in real life. He's like a sweetheart. He's like, hi, how are you? Like he's really sweet and friendly and stuff. Yeah, that'd be hilarious. So I made his bread and butter playing an asshole and a jerk, but then he's probably not one. That's amusing. So William Atherton, yeah, I forgot what his reporter's character, the name of his character. I don't know, Tomlinson or some bullshit. It's not important. Uh, Let me see. I got a real sense of danger from Die Hard 1. And I think the problem with Die Hard 2 is that it seems like John McClane never seems to be in any real danger, even when he's fighting all the terrorists. I don't know. For some reason, he just doesn't seem like he's. Yeah, there's gunshots. Yeah, there's big fights and there's blood everywhere, and but it never really seems. Maybe that's a problem with the later Die Hard movies in general, is that you never get a sense that he's going to lose. Yeah, even when it seems real close, you know that he's going to get out of it. So because it's a Hollywood movie and it's a Die Hard movie, so they're probably not going to take any chances, and they don't really take any chances of killing his wife for dramatic impact. They don't kill off Reginald Val Johnson, Sergeant Powell. They don't do anything. The problem with the Die Hard series is they never really do anything risky. I guess you could say that about almost every action series. You know, maybe the Expendables, um, maybe you could say that about the Lethal Weapon series, pretty much. But yeah, there's a sense when you watch the action franchises that uh, nothing's going to happen to the lead characters because their name is on the bill and they're the big movie stars, and so there's a lack of in a movie that's supposed to be thrilling and filled with suspense. I'm not feeling the danger in this movie like Die Hard. You felt like, oh shit, I think the bad guys could win, and like, oh fuck, how is John McClane gonna get out of this? And like, this situation's fucked. And then in this movie, I always feel like I don't know if he has more accomplices, he has more back, he has more allies, uh, and then he has the Dulles security force eventually. Um, yeah, eventually he has the military before there's the defection of John Amos, and yeah, he has the police kind of. So, mm, yeah, that's the only thing I can note about Die Hard 2, Die Harders. I never really feel like like John McClane is really in danger. I don't have a sense of the danger. Um, and so, yeah. But I know action, adventure, thriller movies, you're supposed to suspend your disbelief. Like a guy isn't supposed to be able to jump off a building that's exploding with det bomb detonations and then use the fire hose to swing into a an office through a window using just his gun and his bare feet. I realize that this is Hollywood and there's not going to be real physics. There's not going to be real shit. I mean, stuff that would normally kill people in real life. The action star is going to be like a superhero and be able to do these amazing feats and get shot or get stabbed or get into multiple brawls and not be seriously injured or requiring medical attention. Oh yeah, they could just fight. One guy could just fight 15 terrorists, and yeah, okay. Not as ridiculous as some of those Arnold Schwarzenegger movies like Commando, where he's just like walking through, like an entire. There's 50 gorillas shooting at him with AKs, and somehow he kills every single one. It's not as ridiculous as like Rambo or Commando, but it's still for an action adventure thriller movie. One must suspend their disbelief, whether it's Lethal Weapon or Bad Boys or Die Hard. Because entertainment is not really supposed to be realism. Entertainment is supposed to be escapism. So, at its core, and the trick is getting the audience to suspend their disbelief enough to enjoy the movie, to be entertained by the movie. So that's the real trick. And to watch John McClane in Die Hard jump off a roof and then avoid the explosion and then somehow swing down on the fire hose and shoot through the window and burst through the office building window and not fall down to his death and escape that situation. Just to suspend people's disbelief just enough where you say, well, you know, that maybe that could happen. Maybe, you know, under the right circumstances, maybe a guy could survive that. And so I'm going to keep on watching because I'm like, wow, I'm really, could a guy survive that? I don't know. It's close, but it's not so ridiculous. Like the little girl who in Jurassic Park: A Lost World, she does acrobatics and a gigantic dinosaur. She kicks a velociraptor. And you know, not so ridiculous that you can't believe it, but like just in that realm of possibility where you buy it enough just to keep watching. So you don't walk out the theater. Did that little girl just karate kick a dinosaur or whatever? Yeah, fuck this movie. I want a refund if you can get refunds back these days. I know it was the thing back in the day in showing movies, right? Where people would say, man, this movie sucked. I want a refund. And maybe it was like, if you started watching it for like 10 minutes, maybe you can get a refund. So maybe it was a time thing. I'm not sure. I'm not sure you could watch the whole movie and still get your money back. Maybe. I don't really know how it works. So, yeah, like 10, 20 minutes. This movie sucks. I'm getting a refund. Like people walking out. It's hilarious. Die Hard 2, Die Harder. Yeah, it's a fun movie. It tries to balance nostalgia for Die Hard and trying to create something new. And so it's a fun action thriller adventure in the airport. And John McClane saves the day and he saves his wife. And yeah, it's pretty good. Yeah, I like it. Yeah, it's definitely different. It's definitely different. So give the filmmakers the kudos for trying to do something different with the Die Hard franchise, and but still kind of trying to tether themselves in the glorious Die Hard 1. I don't think any Die Hard antagonist can't really live up to the astounding performance and script of the Hans Gruber, played brilliantly by the late Alan Rickman. So a lot of the diehards have a big issue is that nobody can live up to Alan Rickman's amazing performance. So it's, and although I really like William Sadler as Colonel Stewart, and I like the cadre of bad guys. Well, I guess Esperanza isn't really that great. He's like, yeah, he's like that. Esperanza is like your stock third world dictator Latin dude. It's not really that scary of a villain or anything. Colonel Stewart's kind of scary. They show his butt cheeks when he's doing his martial arts, and they show his butt cheeks. So he's really ripped, he's really cut, and he's doing his martial arts in front of the TV, learning about the extradition of General Esperanza, and they show his butt. There you go. So, yeah. Does that make a villain more menacing if they show him doing martial arts butt naked? I don't know. I guess it's supposed to show that the person's creepy or something. I don't know what the. Maybe William Sadler said, "Hey, I've been working out a lot. Can I show my butt cheeks?" And the director said, "Hey, you know what? That might be scary if you're doing martial arts practice, and then you're showing how strong and how fit and how great you are at martial arts, but you also show your butt cheeks." And they're like really muscular, sculpted butt cheeks. And then it's like creepy. And then they're like, I could see where they were going with that. You know, like into psychopath. And I could see where they're going with it a little bit, but I was kind of like, why? But oh well. That's a creative decision, right? John Amos as the defecting military guy. He's just John Amos from Good Times. Dynamite. Nah, he's pretty. I mean, he's a great actor, but he's a villain. I don't know. The villain. It was multiple villains, but they didn't really have a hard, strong villain. This movie is notable for Robert Patrick being introduced as one of the terrorists, and yeah, before his bigger break. Well, I mean, his big break was Die Hard 2, Die Harder, but his really, really big fucking break, Robert Patrick, was Terminator 2 Judgment Day. So, yeah. Let me see, what else? Well, that's 5 hard. I did 5 days around Christmas time of the reviews talking about the different Die Hard movies. And tomorrow will be, for Christmas Day, Die Hard with a Vengeance from 1995, just 5 years later. So there's one Die Hard in the 1980s, the original. Then there's 1990, Die Hard 2, Die Harder. 1995, Die Hard with a Vengeance, Die Hard 3. And then Die Hard 4, Live Free or Die Hard, 2007. And of course, the final one is 2013, A Good Day to Die Hard. There was a little detail that I noticed when Bonnie Bedelia as Holly is on the plane circling the Washington, D.C. Dulles Airport in the movie Die Hard 2. There's something kind of funny. They have, I guess it's sort of a meta joke. It was so that the granny in her purse has a magazine, and in the back it's Danny Glover and Mel Gibson, and it's a Lethal Weapon advertisement. So I thought that was a pretty funny joke to put the Lethal Weapon. So like, if that was a joke, I'm sure they placed that in there on purpose as a little, hey, are you guys paying attention? Kind of, did you catch this little joke in here? Another thing about in the lounge, in the bar area, the waiting area of Dulles, DC Airport, when John McClane is waiting for Holly to land and scoping out some bad guys, the guys smoke back in the old movies. So they smoke out in public places. They have smoking areas, which is not really something you see too much in. Sure, you see people smoking in today's Hollywood movies, but typically you don't see, the protagonists in the movie smoking cigarettes too much anymore, as much as they did back in the 20th century. So that is fascinating I think do they make jokes about that where sometimes a hero in a movie if he smokes and then in future movies he's like I quit. I think they might have made a joke. Maybe it was. I'll have to rewatch Die Hard with a Vengeance to see if John McClane says, "Oh, I quit," or something like that. Um, so, well, we are here 5 minutes away from Merry Christmas and Merry Christmas Eve and Merry Christmas. Tomorrow I'll be back for Five Hard, Die Hard with a Vengeance, and I'm going to watch the whole thing and then I'll give my review. I just watched it recently. They've been doing these Die Hard marathons, and I think I caught the third one, but I may watch it again just to see if there's any funny little details or any funny little lines or anything in there. So yeah, Die Hard 2, Die Harder, a fairly good sequel to Die Hard. Yeah, maybe could do without the reporter backstory. But I could see why they included it because it creates comedy and dramatic tension. But anyways, and it has continuity with the first film, so it tries to continue character continuity. So, well, Merry Christmas, and I'll be back for Five Hard, 5 days, all week of reviewing Die Hard movies. And yeah, they are doing those Die Hard marathons. So it's going to be easy to get to watch the Die Hard movies. Maybe not all in a row, but at least for free without paying any money on demand because they'll be playing so much for free. So, peace. God bless.